And welcome everybody to the Switch RPG podcast. I am one of your hosts, Gio, and I'm joined by just Johnny. What do you got going on over there?
I got some stuff, man. It's it is like new world, end of old world days, man. You can do whatever. It's like apocalyptic times.
Nice. Okay, so you got something going on there. That's cool. If this is your first time listening, this is the show from Switchrpg.com where we bring you the latest in the world of RPGs on the Nintendo Switch. This week, we are talking some Trials of Mana. Okay, that just released like, I don't know, today as of this recording. And we got quite a bit of news to go over. Also, don't forget to visit our Discord, discord.switchrpg.com, as well as our Twitter, that's SwitchRPG, and some merch if you can. And you can find that on switchrpg.com. So, Johnny, what are you playing? What are you playing?
Oh, man. So, shocker, playing Radiant Historia.
Really?
Yeah. So,
unbelievable.
Continuing with that. It's still going, right? It's still lengthy. I'm on chapter 5 on both timelines, and things are going good.
You're still enjoying it though, right? It's not like, all right, I put this many hours into it, I just got to finish it.
Well, I definitely feel like I want to finish it. There is a limit in the combat mechanics where it kind of feels not just combat mechanics, but like dungeon delving type of thing where it feels a little stagnant. However, the storyline is keeping me going, and the storyline is cool and interesting, and just that time jumping thing that happens is always interesting because I've never even played a game like it, so that's still keeping me going, and it's not bad. It's just like it's like tropey, grindy elements that you typically get in a JRPG. It feels very traditional JRPG for those elements, but the stuff that it does differently and new and novel, that's just great.
Right.
It's great. But doing that, also fired up Darkest Dungeon, kind of based on our discussion that we were having a couple weeks ago or whatnot. I fired that back up again. I think it was because I got an email update, or I saw an update on the Steam page about how the multiplayer stuff is coming in.
Oh, okay. So you have further information. How is that going to work? Do you know?
Yeah. So your party member, they're giving you brand new party members. The party members, well, you can recruit basically all the different classes. I counted them up. I think there's either 17 or 19 different classes. It looks like they're inserting one new one because there's one I did not recognize. It was like this lady with a big giant rifle. So that looked very, very new. Like I don't know if it was a musket or like a sniper rifle almost. But it was a long fire. So that's new. And the abilities that you have, they mentioned in a post that they are going to be reworked in order to work in PvP. So it seems like they spent a good deal of time rethinking the game to work for PvP. So that kind of alleviates a lot of the issues, the qualms that I had when we were talking about the multiplayer PvP stuff. They are going to have a ladder system, and there's no impact on your single player game when you're doing the multiplayer stuff. However, I think there are rewards that you could take into your single player, but you're never draining any of your single player resources. So it's kind of like standalone. I think they're called the arena or the circus. It's called the circus.
Now, this seems really weird to me because they are working on Darkest Dungeon 2, and to have like a substantial update like this on a previous game, and a game that's been out for it's been out for a while.
Yeah. Well, all right. So they actually responded to that too.
Okay.
They basically said, and I don't buy it too much, like, sure, that's their excuse. However, it always has, my opinion, based on like the Metroid stuff, it always has an impact on
time,
on development and time and stuff like that. But what they said is hey, don't worry, this does not impact the sequel production because we hired an entirely separate team to do this multiplayer stuff.
Okay.
So that's what they say. And they probably legitimately did that. But once again, you can also counter argue with that could have been another 5-ish, 10-ish members that could work directly on the sequel.
Right. Yeah, why not hire them? Bring them in on the sequel. I'm guessing this is stuff that they want to bring into the sequel, you know? So it's not really time wasted, I guess. Especially if they bring it into the other game.
Well, who's asking for multiplayer?
No, like, I don't know.
Exactly. So it's still time wasted. If the mode isn't fun, if it doesn't turn out good, then yeah, it's time wasted.
I'm gonna say it's more likely that it's time wasted. Because I don't know. I mean, I know people who play the game. I don't know people who want to play the game with other people. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, look, I'm gonna try it out. No question about it. I've been playing it on Switch. It's not out yet. That update is not out yet on PC, and it's probably gonna hit PC first, so I can kind of get like a first. Because I have the game on both. I bought it twice for whatever silly reason.
Hey, I bought another game that I'm not gonna mention like 3 times, so doesn't matter.
I feel you. I bought what's that? That apocalypse game, Death.
Fallout.
No. With he plays Death.
Darksiders.
Yes, Darksiders 2. I bought 2 copies of that game for the same console.
For the same console? What?
Don't worry about it.
Okay, cool.
I'm gonna mention that, and that's it. So I'm kind of going through Darkest Dungeon. Went through a couple more dungeons, trying to level up my lower level dudes, so I can eventually get them ready for the Darkest Dungeon. And man, I love playing it, but then stuff hits the fan.
Sure.
And I just put it down and just be like, nope, not gonna get into it again. Like I got my fill. I'm out.
Right. Yeah, that sounds like a pure Darkest Dungeon experience.
Yeah, it's just like completely uncalled for, unnecessary randomness, like to an extreme amount. Like doing stuff doesn't go your way, and a demon comes out because you used the torch on a weird shrine that you shouldn't have, and like this demon kind of just wrecks all of your plans. It's recoverable. The problem is like the half hour or to an hour that you're dedicating going through this dungeon only to like have a complete and utter party wipe, and it's permadeath.
It's a brutal game, man.
It's brutal, so stuff like that happens, and I'm like, yeah, I'm done playing this for another half year, and then maybe,
or at least until the actual PvP, right? Like you had mentioned.
Well, the PvP, that sounds cool because it's just one combat against one person. Hopefully, less randomness and stuff like that. I'm interested. I'm definitely interested.
Did they say whether or not that was permadeath?
It doesn't matter because you're constantly building. They're giving you the min-maxing, right? So you can min-max each of your units. They're gonna, I believe they're gonna be like some maximum amount, because they're retooling all of the abilities to work to make PvP sense. For example, stress, kinda, unless they're turning it into a combat mechanic for PvP, stress is not going to be a factor. I don't know how they're doing it, but they're gonna need to change some stuff.
Yeah.
So you're probably going to get no levels. There won't be any character progression. What you're probably going to get is like you climbing up the ladder, right? That's your progression. It's more maybe they throw in some like cosmetic stuff, maybe trinkets. I can kind of see trinkets playing into that, but if they wanted it to be competitive, they kind of can't throw in any kind of like my characters out level your characters or my abilities out level your abilities.
They could potentially say, all right, you have 100 points allotted to your 4 characters. Use it as you see fit, and
like
that's it.
A budget, a loadout budget.
Right. Yeah.
So they could do something like that. Don't know though. Don't know what they're doing. But so I've been playing that, and then going into like weird loony land, I went hard into uh, Final Fantasy Tactics.
What brought this on?
So I did research, and
boy.
Final Fantasy Tactics. First off, Final Fantasy Tactics was a game that I always wanted to play. I always wanted to play it. It was on my to-do. I never actually played that game.
Okay.
I've seen it played. Right, my brother has it. My friend has it. They played the game in front of me multiple times, and I always looked at it. I'm like, ah, cool, interesting. And then I never like really got into it. And then I did some research on like ogre battle stuff.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, the person who made the original ogre battle, his next game was Tactics Ogre on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Which, as we all know, is the Godfather, not the true Godfather, because there have been other games in like on PC and whatnot, like one or two others, not very many, but Tactics Ogre is essentially the Godfather of tactics style games as we know it, with very few exceptions. So he made that, and then he left Quest. He did lots of development for Ogre Battle 64, but he didn't complete it. He left the team and went to Square Enix and made Final Fantasy Tactics. And then, after Tactics, he made Vagrant Story. And then, after Vagrant Story, he made Final Fantasy 12. And then, after Final Fantasy 12...
You've been doing some hardcore research, okay.
Yeah, he went back and did the remaster, the kind of remake of Tactics Ogre on the PSP.
Oh, right. That's why I never knew that existed.
He did the remake of that, and he's done other stuff. Like some of his newest stuff is oddly enough, like the stuff that people absolutely loved last year, which was the Shadowbringers expansion stuff.
Okay.
On Final Fantasy 14.
Mm-hmm.
So like this guy is, everything he makes is gold. And you can tell that his style of making games and telling stories, RPG stories, they're all super similar. So I started to play because I was curious about Final Fantasy Tactics, and I knew it was a great game. Started to play it, and all of a sudden I'm like going through the menus, playing the game, getting the story, and I'm like, oh my god, this is Ogre Battle.
And so it felt very familiar.
It felt so familiar. I'm like, this, and I knew it was made by similar people that did Tactics Ogre. I just didn't. When I did the full research, I then realized like this is the dude. It's just I think it's like Yoshimu Matsuhiro. Let me quickly. I don't want to butcher the name.
Well, you already did.
Yeah, I know I did. It's already. I don't want to. I want to recoup. Let's see. Yasumi Matsuno. So that is his name.
That's your dude, man. That is your dude. So you just went back and started playing all of his games?
So what I ended up doing is, and I went really hard because I don't want to do multiple stuff. So playing Final, I'm going to jump back to Final Fantasy Tactics, but the other two games I grabbed was Vagrant Story, which my brother has. Just fired that up, just the opening sequence, and I can already tell like this is some top tier quality storytelling. Just from the opening to that game is like a half hour long, and it's like pure story. That's
a typical JRPG setup, right? The intro, you got to install all the characters first, right?
Well, this is a PlayStation 1 game, and the budget quality is impressive, super impressive. Like what they were doing there for storytelling. Oddly enough, Final Fantasy Tactics, the storytelling on these sprites is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
They have like animations. They're like slapping each other across the face. Beautiful stuff. And then I also grabbed Tactics Ogre, Now I'm saving Tactics Ogre for last. I did actually play through the first mission of that. And yeah, it's very clear to me Tactics Ogre is like the creme of the crop, crowning jewel. So I'm gonna save. I tucked that away. I tucked away Vagrant Story, so that's also tucked away. I am going to go through all three of these absolute gems from a person that has made some of my favorite games of all time, nevertheless RPGs of all time. Like I just absolutely love the Ogre Battle, Tactics Ogre games. I never played, by the way, Tactics Ogre, the original Tactics Ogre. I did the Game Boy Advance one, Holy Knight of Lotus or something like that. I played and beat that, and obviously I did the original Ogre Battle and Ogre Battle 64. So Tactics Ogre was always on my bucket list of to do, and apparently it is incredible. And you can kind of already tell. You can tell, like when you play these games, there is like Game of Thrones style storytelling,
Right.
with lots of characters.
Not season 8 though, right? Or actually season 6 and beyond. So you're talking early.
Yeah, it's more like season 1 stuff. Like okay. It is all about individual characters, who they are, who they work for. There is Final Fantasy Tactics, by the way. There's betrayal like crazy. There are people manipulating other people that are manipulating other people multiple times in Final Fantasy Tactics. The only problem I have right now in Final Fantasy Tactics, and it is amazing, amazing game. The only problem I have right now is the translation, the localization of it is not good. So there are some writing issues that I have with it, like just with some of the dialogue exchanges that happen.
So you're just chalking that up to just translation. Right.
Yeah, I'm chalking it up to that because this is the game released in 1997, so localization was not a strong suit, especially for a second-tier Final Fantasy game.
Right, so almost, yeah. A spin-off, maybe? Would you consider that a spin-off?
Yeah, well, actually, so the world that this person made, this amazing person whom I loved his games, his masterful creations, and never knew how much more there was to it until now. So this person built the world of Final Fantasy Tactics. It took place in a world called Ivalice, and that's the same world that Final Fantasy 12 takes place in.
Oh.
And in Final Fantasy 14, the new stuff, the Shadowbringers, and I think one of the other expansionary stuff, they have or one of the more recent tie-ins. They tie in. You kind of like teleport to Ivalice from. It's like you go to that world or that continent or whatever,
right?
And you go there and you actually interact with the main character Ramsa and his sister. Alta. Amta.
That's in 12.
Alma. That's in 14.
14.
So
Ramsa, okay. All right.
Ramsa and Alma are the Alma not so much, but Ramsa is the main character of Final Fantasy Tactics, and you interact with some of those Final Fantasy Tactics characters in Final Fantasy 14. It's not like I don't think it's canon stuff. But just to know that the world he built, and he does this all the time.
Right.
This game designer, writer, director person, he always makes these big, giant, well thought out worlds and these big stories that are very nuanced and intriguing and do not hold your hand whatsoever.
Oh, good.
They kind of generally steer clear of like tropey stuff. Now, Final Fantasy Tactics, there are some elements of like, lightheartedness and some tropiness, but there is a whole lot of just plot and scheming and intrigue and really really good stuff. Like I'm in. I'm actually close, believe it or not. Last I talked to you wasn't that long ago, and I have started and now I am close to the end. I'm probably about 70% through Final Fantasy Tactics.
Wow.
Yeah, I've got over 30 hours. I know that much. I got over 30 hours into that game. I'm going super hard into it. It is a gem, and I can't wait to like complete it so that I can move on to Vagrant Story and then to Tactics Ogre. In Tactics Ogre, there are some stuff in that game that was kind of like way ahead of its time that they did in that, and I just can't wait to like get in there and crunch.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
Nice, man. You just be going. You going back in time.
I'm going way back. I will say this: modern games should go back to Final Fantasy Tactics and learn a thing or two, because oh my goodness, the systems that are in play, the combat systems, the mechanics are so solid. We're talking like Breath of the Wild level solidness. Like stuff that in this could be, you kind of see this stuff in other Final Fantasy games, but you don't really see this stuff in other tactics games. Like Fire Emblem could take a whole lot of notes from Final Fantasy Tactics specifically, right? They have weird stuff where, like, I had a flame rod equipped. Now, you don't see the fact that the flame rod does fire damage. You don't see that. It just does weapon damage. You just think it's doing weapon damage. And then I equipped a fire flame shield, whatever it's called, to some character, some knight. And on the shield it says, "Oh, you can now absorb fire, so fire will heal you instead."
Oh, okay.
And when you attack your own characters, you gain experience. So normally you just go around when you're not. You kind of want to play around with the battlefield and min-max your experience gain and job point gain by attacking your own characters, having them just whack each other over and over again, just like you're farming experience, right? You're grinding.
Is that training though, or are you really like killing your own character?
You're really killing your own characters. It's in the middle of combat when there are enemies on the field.
Okay.
So you have to be a little careful while doing it, but when you play it, it makes a whole lot of sense. But I went to go and do that, and I hit the knight with the flame rod stick, and lo and behold, it healed the knight.
Oh, okay, because you had the flame shield, right?
Because the flame rod, which it doesn't say on your character sheet and on the weapon, it doesn't say that it does fire damage.
Right.
But then the connection was made. I'm like, oh, okay. And there's a whole lot. That was just one example of like a finely tuned system. It is not very intuitive. You have to like really peek underneath the hood in order to like figure this stuff out. Like the brave characters have this brave attribute and this faith attribute, and depending on whether they are high or low, certain things can happen. Like if your brave drops too low, your units will leave the battle map. They'll chicken out. Sorry, they don't leave. They turn into actual chickens.
Do they
and they
really?
Start to they turn to chickens and they start like running around and slowly recouping some bravery.
That's awesome.
And if characters have too much faith, they will leave your party because they're holier than you and they're out.
Right.
So it's like weird. So you have to like balance that stuff out, but you don't even know about that mechanic. I guess if I would have peeked into the tutorial system, because there's a lot of text in the game, I would have realized these things, but I never actually did that. And then I opened up a FAQ, kind of like explaining the stat system, and then I finally learned the stat system because things just weren't making sense. Now they make sense.
Maybe it just even the tutorial or whatever wasn't doing a good job.
I didn't go through it, so I can't say it wasn't doing a good job.
You just totally skipped it.
Well, it's there. It's like always there for you to look into, and I just never got around because I was doing perfectly fine playing the game with many different classes, changing my jobs and all that, doing very different loadouts and builds and stuff like that. Thief, by the way, is a terrible class. It is bad in that game, but I probably played it wrong.
That's a possibility.
Anyway, Anyway, that has been what I've been playing. Sorry for the very long-winded stuff.
No, I mean you're jumping into some pretty big RPGs and RPGs that I'd love to see on the Switch, honestly.
Yeah, the Final Fantasy Tactics. Even though my brother has it, instead of playing it on the original PlayStation, which I didn't want to bust out onto like an old CRT, I have an emulator that is running that on nice HD resolutions and whatnot. So it's looking quite good. Not like it's not. It doesn't look bad. How about that? It definitely doesn't look bad.
Okay.
And I know that like CD-ROM loading times would have been a crazy hurdle, and also you can do like save state. So it's just way more convenient and pleasurable to run it on the emulator. It's the same exact game.
Right. And even running on an emulator, you could probably pick up some different like translation packs if it's available, things like that. Maybe
I don't know. I'm running off of the original game. It's not even. I think the game released twice on the PlayStation. I'm running off of the original.
Okay.
Release. I think there was like a second release that came afterwards was they like nerfed the enemies. They made the game easier on the second release.
They turned it into the easy mode.
I think they did that because it was like a little bit too hard. Because the game's hard. It is hard. There's permadeath in the game.
Ugh. Tough.
But permadeath's not bad. Like if a character falls in combat, you just go up to them, you use the Phoenix down, and they resurrect, and you're good.
Mm-hmm. Just looking up Final Fantasy Tactics, it was released on Game Boy Advance, the PlayStation, like you said, PSP, and the Nintendo DS. A different iterations. So Game Boy Advance got Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. PSP got Final Fantasy Tactics The War of the Lions. DS got Final Fantasy Tactics A2 Grimoire of the Rift.
A2 is the sequel.
Okay.
But it's not. I think I have that.
Is that the sequel to the Game Boy Advance one? Or the sequel to the PlayStation one?
So I believe the Game Boy Advance one. There was one sequel that was made, and it's not that good.
Okay.
And I think that sequel is on the Game Boy Advance. I have it. I played it. I didn't beat it because it kind of turned me off. It seemed like a lesser Tactics Ogre Knight of Lotus game, which I had as well. So it kind of felt like more of the same. And I played the Knight of Lotus game first.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
And the other one, I'm not sure if that's the same game imported or if it's a sequel to that sequel. It sounds like it might be a spin-off.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I just put in Final Fantasy Tactics and those four showed up.
Yeah, the Final Fantasy Tactics A2, whatever, the sequel to Final Fantasy Tactics, doesn't even take place in the same world. Or at least it doesn't seem like it does. And the characters, it presents itself as a more kid-friendly game.
All right.
Geared towards a younger audience than Tactics. Tactics is not a game for a young audience. It is a mature storyline. There are lots of people dying in that game.
Oh.
It's good. It's real good.
All right. So what I've been playing, thank you for asking, is
try getting into this.
No, I try to sneak it in every time, so it's gonna be few and far between when you get me. Operentia, still been playing that, and I did mention a while back that about the respecking issue that I was having and whatnot. Again, it turns out that I was not the only one who was having that problem. I did respec. I dumped everything I think into strength, and I was able to progress. So
as you should. Did you get rid of your silly agility builds?
No, because I'm gonna go back to it. I was doing just fine up until the boss. It makes no sense. Here's my thing, and again, we talked about this. You shouldn't have to respec a character because a game tells you to. You should be respecing a character because you made mistakes specking your character.
No.
Yes.
No, there should be no...
Or if you want to change the way your character plays, it should not be because this boss is near impossible because of the way I built my character. It should not be like that.
No, like there should be no restrictions. The developers should allow you should have the flexibility to put in any reason for incentivizing or disincentivizing character respect.
I
Right? And
think
this
having I think having a pretty much a block. There was no way I was going to get by these guys without respecting my character. Having a block like that is in no way incentivizing respecting, especially without telling you.
It's a free respect.
And that means nothing to me. It shouldn't be that way. It should almost be part of a story or something like that. It was never brought up in anything that you could respect. You know, it just didn't make any sense.
If it wasn't brought up, then that's a different story. They should fix that. But the fact that they have that system in place where they want you to respect in order to solve like boss fight dungeon or boss fights, that's fine. I think that's perfectly reasonable. But they do have to, if they didn't educate you and let you know that was a thing, then they failed there. But the fact that they are doing that, I don't think that's poo-poo.
No, right. I just don't think that's a good way to incentivize respecking. I think that's a terrible way of doing it. I think maybe even putting it into story, you know, would be great. All right. Oh, listen, we're in the dungeon, you know, the story dictates we're going to face this, guys. You may want to look into having a lot of strength because we're going to need like something really stupid simple like that. I think would probably resolve that situation. Instead of just becoming like, oh my god, I don't know what to do because all of my weapons, all of the things I've gotten are pretty much useless because now I have to respec totally different. It's just I don't know. But I finally got through it, so I'm happy about that. Okay.
Are you enjoying what's coming after?
I had to put I had to put it down for a minute. Because then Trials of Mana came to me, and I had to play Trials of Mana. But I'll get into that. I've been playing more Dreadnautical. Again, Operencia and Dreadnautical are from the same developer / publisher, Zen Studios. Dreadnautical is it's not grown on me, and I've put in probably about 5 hours at least into that game, maybe even a little bit more, and it hasn't really grown on me yet. I'm not enjoying the play loop right now. I'm just gonna leave it at that because the game isn't out yet and I don't want to fully put out. I'm kind of under embargo, so I don't want to really fully put out anything. I just need more time, I think, to see how that play loop, if it continues to be as such as a grind as it is, or things or if things change. So yeah, that is Dreadnautical. Cloudpunk. Have you heard of Cloudpunk?
Yeah, we talked about it when we saw the I guess it was like a little intro video of like some car driving through like a very like voxel style city.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. So essentially you're a cyberpunk kind of postal worker. And I've only put a few hours into this, but I'm kind of enjoying this. And I'm playing it on PC. I'm not playing it on the Switch. It is promised to come to the Switch. I have no idea when. But I'm enjoying it so far. It's fun. The story is really interesting, and I think that's where this is going to excel. Is the story in Cloudpunk? And I'm kind of playing this through to kind of just get an idea as to what the Switch could offer, and I'm seeing this easily transferring over to the Switch with no issues. So I think we have a good Cloudpunk. I think is going to be a good one on our hands. So I'm playing Cloudpunk, and then
how does it play though?
What do you mean in terms of what?
Is it like it seems like I get the vibes that it's going to be mostly like a visual novel with some minor like drive from one location to another.
That's essentially what I've done so far. I've only put in a few hours into it, and essentially you're picking up packages, you're bringing them to wherever the customer wants you to bring them, but there's kind of story behind that all. So Cyberpunk is kind of it's kind of your behind, like the dirty like
Cloud
work.
Cloudpunk.
I'm sorry. Yes. What did I say? City Punk.
It's cyber.
Cyberpunk. All these freaking Cyberpunk games coming out. Cloudpunk is kind of your deep web kind of delivery service. I think that's probably the best way to explain it right now. Again, I don't even know if the game's available right now. Can you check on your Steam to see if it's available or if it's in early access?
Let me load it up.
So I'm not sure if I should be saying too much right now. I wasn't. What is it?
Yeah, it's available for purchase right now. Let's see.
I wasn't given any embargo instructions, so I'm
released
assuming.
yesterday.
Ah, beautiful.
There you go.
Good, because now I'm not under embargo anymore. So yeah, it's kind of your deep. Yeah, maybe. I will say with Trials of Mana, it's a very different story as far as what I can do, but Cloudpunk is kind of your deep web postal service. That's the best way I could kind of describe it. And
the reviews on Steam right now, it's at 85% user reviews.
Yeah, it's a good game.
User reviews, which is pretty good.
Yeah, I would say it's a good game, and the driving is probably the least intuitive in terms of controls. I think that's kind of where it's lacking. You know, it's not your Grand Theft Auto control type of thing. It's a little kind of basic. You're not on rails, which is what I thought you were gonna be. I thought you were going to be driving out on rails, but no, you can get off the highway. The highway is basically if you really want to speed up. You know, it makes sense, right? So you actually can get to wherever you need to get to faster if you choose to get on the highway, but you can go anywhere. So
it looks like you can run on foot too.
Yep, you can run on foot, but it always kind of has that side scrolling angle.
Yep. A very pulled back third person view.
Right. And there's things to be had in the environment. You can pick up things. You can get food, drink, that sort of stuff. I have yet to work that stuff out, so I'm not entirely sure how that fits into the gameplay. So I can't speak in terms of that. But so far, what I've played has been pretty good.
It visually looks good.
Yeah, it's your basic cyberpunk aesthetic though, but it's very different in terms of the way it's presented. Basic, yeah. You got your. It's very dark. It's got neons. That's your
got fog machines everywhere.
Fog machines, like that's your cyberpunk. Like you watch anything cyberpunk, you play anything cyberpunk. There you go.
Yeah, but there's not many cyberpunk games though. I don't get why there's a lot being announced and are in development and are now starting.
Right,
there aren't actually that many cyberpunk games.
Now, that's what I mean, though. Like, all the announcements that are come out. You have Game Deck, which is another Cyberpunk game. You have Cyberpunk 2077. That's another Cyberpunk game. And there are so many other ones. Oh, shoot. I have one right on the tip of my tongue that I can't really think of the name. But, yeah, there's so many Cyberpunk games coming out. And I just think it's just the timing of it all with Cyberpunk 2077. And there's the newer Netflix show that the second season just came out. Can't think of it.
Don't know.
Anyway.
What else have you been playing?
Trials of Mana. Have you said you were going to look into it, and you didn't. It's good, man. It's good.
Look into what?
Getting Trials of Mana. You're going to look at waiting for review type of thing.
We can talk about that later on the rundown.
Okay. Well, I will tell you, I'm about 20 hours in. It's good. It is very good. Once you're able to get classes and whatnot, the game changes. Because up until that point, it was very samey. I will admit that. It's basically kind of run to point A to point B to point A. Now, you can do things in between, don't get me wrong, but it was very much point A to point B and so on, up until you get your class changes. Once you get to that, it feels a lot better. And I am enjoying it very much. One thing I was really hoping, and you kind of get a taste of this in the demo, so I'm not spoiling anything because I really want to be careful with that. Oh, obviously, it came out today. I want to have people give people the opportunity to play it. The music, again, you see it in the demo, is not in. I'm gonna compare it to the music in Dragon Quest 11. When you hear, because my son was actually playing it, he saw the demo and that I had downloaded for him, because I'm like, all right, maybe he'll play it, whatever. I caught him playing it while I'm busy doing housework stuff, and he was pretty far into the demo. You know, he's only 7 years old. He was really far into the demo, and one thing that really stood out to me was the music. The music in Dragon Quest 11 is awesome. It's done real live orchestral music, and that is one thing that I really wish Trials of Mana would have pulled from Dragon Quest. I really wish they would have done some sort of live orchestral type of thing like Dragon Quest did. Yeah, because don't get me wrong, the music is good. It's not like the big graphic music. It's not like the original music. It's definitely different. I just really wish, that big budget type of stuff.
It's not chiptune, but it is MIDI.
Yeah, and that's where it is. Like it doesn't really hit you like that Dragon Quest music does.
I would prefer, actually, in most cases, not all, I would prefer chiptune over MIDI in most cases. The MIDI has to be like super well done, like Castlevania.
Right, and I did that. I'm like, I went into a certain zone, and I'm like, and I was playing like the newer music. I'm like, I don't really remember this in the chiptune version. Let me switch back to that, and it really, honestly, didn't feel very different. It felt kind of the same. So I don't know. I think that's probably the weakest point for Trials of Mana is the music. And you know, it's kind of got the, I guess, a basic kind of gameplay for it's basically a hack and slash if you really think about it. It's really kind of a button masher type of game. It
looks like it.
Yeah, there's not much thinking going on. Yeah, you can get your spells and whatnot. You can change between characters. But that's not really where Trials of Mana exceeds. Trials of Mana exceeds, I think, in the stories or the storylines, depending on who you pick. I think they're all intertwined really well, and that's one thing Octopath didn't do well. These stories, these 6 characters, really intertwine well. Whether or not you pick them or not, they're all kind of there.
Is it well, or does it just work? Like, did they actually make these characters interact with one another and have stories that interweave with one another?
They interweave with each other.
Did they do it at a minimum, or do they exceed and tie an interesting story that pulls these characters together?
Well, okay, so you have basic level, and then you have Jonny level. It's not at Jonny level, okay? I think
between we don't have to go to Jonny level.
No, and that's where it is. It's kind of, I don't know. It's kind of in between, because the characters kind of once in a while poke in and out of what you're doing. So, but they definitely add to the story development. You actually get to see what kind of like what Fire Emblem did. You kind of get a sneak peek as to what's going on the other side of the characters you did not pick, sort of thing. Because you can only pick 3 of the 6
for the whole game.
For the whole game, you cannot change back. So you get your 3, and that's it. That is it. And for the most part, I would say probably 4 of the 6 characters have a really kind of a sad storyline. They're really sad. So, I don't know. I'm loving it. If I was to give it a recommendation, I would say yes. Definitely buy it. It's not full price. I guess $60 is full price. It's $50, so they kind of, I don't know why they did that, to be honest with you, but I think it's definitely well worth it to buy for sure.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't really make much sense. Maybe they knew. I don't know. The reviews are out for it, but we have that on the rundown. I don't know if you want to wait until the rundown to further talk about Trials of Mana.
Yeah, we can bring it down a little bit. No, we can bring it down if you wanted to.
All right. Well, so what do you mean by that? Do we bring it up again? Because we have a couple of things.
Oh, okay. Are you saying you want to talk about it right now?
It's up to you.
Because I'm not done.
Oh, keep going then.
I am not done. I omitted something purposely. I don't know.
Do you want to save that for later?
No, I'm gonna save it for
later. 5 minutes.
I'm saving it right now. Here you go. Check it out. Can you see that? It's kind of backwards.
That looks like a special. Oh, wait a minute. It is a special edition.
That is special edition Radiant Historia.
I recognize that red suited, blonde haired man.
Yep. So yeah, here it is. I'll be playing this soon. I just got it in today. Okay.
Nice.
So yeah, I don't know what to expect. I mean, other than what you've told me. But I had to get the special edition. It was actually the same price as the brand new, so this is kind of used, but whatever. It just worked. That's actually not a special. I guess it's a special edition. It's the Radiant Historia Launch Edition, is what it is.
What does it come with?
It comes with an art book, some stickers, and that's it.
The art book's cool though. Probably.
Yeah, the art book here. I wish it was backwards. I gotta figure that out. Yeah. The art book is really, really cool. And the stickers, they got the chibi weebies.
No, that's, what was it, Japanese hobbits you called it? What'd you call it?
Something hobbits. There wasn't Japanese hobbits. Anyway.
RPG hobbits or something?
RPG, whatever. They're hobbits. Yeah, that I will be jumping into, hopefully as soon as I can. Because I discovered there is a way I could potentially capture this, capture the video and audio without me having to get a capture card. So we can discuss later.
I can't wait for you to start playing that game and get to these moments. And there's so many like moments in the storyline. It happens over and over again. It's great. Can't wait.
Oh boy. So yeah, that is what I've been playing. So it was kind of a longer segment. We're like all playing like new stuff. This is great.
Yeah.
And then, next month we have something even bigger coming out, but yeah. Anyway, new
That's
game
at
and
the tail end.
What is it?
That's at the tail end. Actually, right now my brother is playing through his copy of Final Fantasy VII. Finally came in.
Oh, the remake.
Yeah, the remake, and he actually got the collector's edition type thing and all that stuff. So he's playing through that right now, and he is really, really digging it. He's going in hard, and he's really enjoying it.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are enjoying it. I might be enjoying it. I have no idea. I wouldn't know.
That will be on my. That will be after I complete some of these games. Certainly, Final Fantasy Tactics. I'm probably going to go into Final Fantasy VII before Xenoblade releases.
Okay.
So I believe I can crank that out in like a week or two.
What, Xenoblade?
No, Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because it's shorter. It's only like 30 hours.
Yeah, that's still lengthy.
Yeah.
I think.
But I'm already like 30 hours, well beyond 30 hours in Final Fantasy Tactics, and I did that in about a week.
Okay. Not bad. All right. New game announcement. There have been a couple, but I just want to kind of focus on this one here. A new game called Minimal Effect announced. It's a parody sci-fi, and it reminds me of Johnny's gonna hate me for this, an anime Mass Effect. If you could put it that way. But it's kind of a parody, so
spot on. Very spot on with that.
So it's a parody, so there's a lot of comedic beats in it. Definitely take a look at it. Watch the trailer. If you're watching this on video version of this podcast, I'll try and have some gameplay here. But yeah, what are your thoughts, Johnny?
They got a bulldog wearing a hat, sitting on a chair with a bunch of like TVs behind monitors behind them or something like that.
Yep.
There is some stuff. It is definitely looking like Mass Effect. Apparently, yeah, you got like alien party members. I see like this blue lady. They're riffing hard on Mass Effect, like in a Saturday Night Live kind of way, like completely spoofing in a very comedic way.
Even the thumbnail has like a big Krogan there, so it looks like a Krogan. I wonder if they're gonna be able to get away with this, but whatever. Minimal Effect.
Of course, they're gonna get away with it.
You think so?
Yeah, there's no harm in what they're doing.
I don't know. It's just I feel like BioWare they're like holding on like with for dear life on things.
I'm gonna make a better Mass Effect game than Mass Effect Andromeda.
There you go. Do that instead.
I mean, it's already looking good. Like the visuals, I actually really like these visuals. It's nice. It's clean. It reminds me of Void Bastards, which is another game, very different first-person roguelike
Hmm.
game, but also sciencey or sci-fi outer space style thing. But the
Right.
visuals, right? The graphics look very similar to that, and those graphics, the style, the art style.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And again, I'm looking at the thumbnail for YouTube. Like I had mentioned, you got the Krogan smoking a cigar. And then in the back, I didn't even notice it. It looks like a Sith Lord. It looks like Darth Maul, but it looks like a zebra as well. So I'm not sure what's happening there. But it's minimal. A minimal effect, and the kind of the tagline, and it's pretty funny. In space, no one can spell your name.
They're
So
they're yeah, they're going so hard on that.
yeah, they're just riffing on everything, right?
I think it's mostly no one can hear you scream, right? That's
Yeah,
from what?
Alien. Yeah,
Yeah,
Alien. And then it's minimal effect, a role playing game. So this is, if you wanted to look at their YouTube channel, it's Toadman Interactive. They're the developers. Publisher is Sold Out Sold Out Games.
Did you see the trailer announcement for it? It's completely like cartoon, like Saturday morning cartoon style.
Oh really? No, I'll have to watch it. I just saw it actually came into one of my emails for PR email, so I didn't get to see it. No, I'll definitely watch it later because I'm hoping to, for the video version of this podcast, I'm hoping to have that overlaid.
They are going very hard on the comedy. It is pure comedy.
Good.
It's Mass Effect the comedy. This is Spaceballs.
There you go. The
Video
Spaceballs.
game Spaceballs. That's what this is looking like.
Yep. Awesome.
Potentially.
But yeah, potentially.
Yeah.
Did it have a? I know that it was announced, but did I see a date on there?
Oh, let me rewind that video.
2021. A game is planned to be released on PC and major consoles in 2021. There you go. Cool. So that is one game to kind of keep an eyeball on. Then we have some quick news. Super Mario Maker 2 has been updated to version 3.0.0. Actually, has that been updated as well, or am I just thinking
That's
things?
the final update. So there were other updates to like Animal Crossing and the Switch itself got some updates, but yeah, this is the final major, as they say, major update. They're probably going to still like patch some small stuff,
If
but this is
needed,
going to be like the last major content drop. And oh my goodness, this is a drop. They didn't leave anything out, and
Yeah,
they added one of the most amazing things that a lot of people were asking for. I wish they had. I was actually building my stuff around what they had in there, just courses, and I was trying to figure out ways to connect these courses so I could deliver a cohesive world.
Yep.
And they just did that. They just gave you the tools. Here is the world builder, and now you can just explore, do this, meta game
Yep.
to the actual game. Brilliant. Now we can actually make a full-fledged 40 course long, our own like legit Mario plus whatever crazy shenanigans you can pull.
You're right. It is a crazy, and you can import the games or the levels you've created, right?
Yep.
All right.
And you just import the levels, you plop them on there, so you can do. There's already like a huge amount of new stuff that can happen, a bunch of new possibilities that can occur. You can easily take this big overworld aspect and now bake that into leveraging that, kind of make an RPG of sorts within Mario Maker. Because now you have like this overworld that allows you to explore each level. You can kind of dress the levels on however you see fit. It depends on how. But for example, one particular level could be a town that you visit.
Okay.
And people in in that level, or what you place in that level, could be like the NPCs, shops, and whatnot. Where if
Are
you
you
go
doing
into,
this? Are you making this?
well, these are the ideas that are coming in. As soon as I saw this happen, I'm like, wow. And then you could also do certain nodes, right? Can
Right.
be just story stuff,
Mm-hmm.
where you have a bunch of rooms playing out scenes with dialogue, because you can write messages. You can bake in messages. There are ways to do it into parts of the level. I did in some of the other ones, and then you can kind of set up these scenes so you can actually like play out actual story segments and be able to sort of go through a warp pipe to go to the next scene, stuff like that, scene 1, scene 2, etc. And then that would just be one level, and all it is just getting story stuff. And then you
Mm-hmm.
complete that level, and now you can progress to the next place. You have branching paths that can occur. Like,
Oh,
this
boy.
opens up lots of stuff. I'm excited. Excited so much. Just, yeah, I'm good. You can one way to do level up mechanics is to not have access to a certain power up, like a mushroom, a basic one, like mushrooms, and then
Mhm.
you beat a boss, and now immediately after that boss, you unlock a node that will always give you a mushroom.
Yep.
Right? And now you can always return back to that node to get the
get
mushroom if you ever lose it.
Right.
So every time you enter a new node on the world map, that new node is probably a battle. But now that you unlock all these things, you kind of unlock the minimum weapon loadout, the minimum power level
Mm-hmm.
that you have reached at that. Right? There's a lot of stuff that you can do with this. I haven't even experimented with it yet. These are
You got to plan. Yeah, you got to plan this all out, right?
Yeah. You got to plan it out, and like Metroidvania stuff is very much in mind when I'm thinking about stuff like this.
Right, and they've added different Mario. They added the Super Mario 2 Mario where you can actually stand on enemies and pick them up and throw them. They've added all sorts of different boxes you can be. Yeah, tons of stuff.
Lots of cool, and yeah, all those other things just unlock other types of gameplay stuff, like the bullet bill riding helmet box thing,
Yep.
where you can actually do like a I don't know, like a, how do you describe that? I don't know how to describe it, but like a free run thing, but you're like
Yeah.
manipulating it, and there's always like gravity pulling you down. Like there's cool stuff that can happen there, and then you combine that with all the stuff that they've done beforehand, like the Link outfit.
Mm-hmm.
This is just gonna be wild stuff.
Oh boy.
Wild stuff. Because that Link outfit did a lot of cool stuff.
Your head's about to blow up, but good thing you got that hat on.
Yeah.
All right, Nintendo is increasing the Switch production to battle the stock shortage. Thank goodness. So they're trying to do something, but they told suppliers to look and prepare for a 10% increase in production. So hopefully that's a lot, especially with
a lot, but it's not, given that they were at severe shortages just I think last week.
Yeah.
Or 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
In Japan, there were extreme shortages, and we're experiencing shortages here in the States as well.
Yes.
But in Japan, it's even worse.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, Japan, it was sold out almost before this was all happening anyway, so they were already experiencing that.
Yep.
So hopefully this kind of resolves some things. A lot of the scalpers out there won't get their filthy hands on things of that nature.
Kind of a weird time where the console is now reselling for higher than its base selling price.
Yeah, I could easily sell one of my Switches and get more than what I paid for, and potentially get a new one.
Yeah, and we are 2 years into the life. 3 years. 3. We just said 3 years into the life of the Switch, and it's now typically you get that like year 1 when there's shortages, not like year 3.
Well, they had it at year 1.
Go down by the time you hit like year 3, 4.
Right, not this one.
Yeah.
Not the Switch. All right, I'll let you hit this next little news bit.
So, Trials of Mana is now finally out, and the review scores are out. And to put it in perspective, I'll cover just 2 places. So, for example, Famitsu, which is a very beloved place, they gave it a 32 out of 40. That was 4 separate scores of 8, 9, 8, and 7, which gives you an average of 8 for a review score. And if you scroll on over to OpenCritic, Metacritic, whatever, I'm just going to base this off of OpenCritic. It is currently at a 77% on OpenCritic, and that's based on 33 critic reviews, IGN being one of them, GameSpot, etc. GameSpot gave it a 6, IGN gave it an 8. So it's overall, the score is lower than what I was expecting.
Lower than what you were expecting, huh? It's about
Yes.
what I expected, and it's about right. I think it's a high 70s, low 80s type of game. It's an 80, about an 8 out of 10, I would say.
And what I get out of that, and based on what you've been talking about, and kind of some of the various articles I've been reading, it has that tropey, tried and true JRPG stuff of the past.
What
That
that's because hang on, I gotta interrupt you here. This When you say tropey, this is what started tropes. You know, this is an older game. They're not changing anything. They are adding new ideas, but they're not changing anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. It's
But
just
when you put that word tropey, it almost gives me the idea as they're kind of just replicating older ideas and rehashing them.
well, hold on. This is
You got me upset, John. You got me upset. I don't like it.
This is the third game in the franchise, right?
So
even then,
what?
even back then, they were already being a little bit too tropey, right? When you have games that rethought storytelling and took away that light. I know this is a game and this franchise was geared towards a younger audience. I totally understand it. And that's kind of, it's just sad that this is what you get as a run-of-the-mill RPG geared towards a younger audience, is this type of storytelling, this type of presentation of characters in this lighthearted mood with very expected uh, uh, story beats and these things that are very predictable as to what's going to happen. You do get great combat, not denying, you know, whether the combat is great, bad, or indifferent. It's just these are the types of things that you get, and these are some of the things that I have been done with for a long time. And then every time I play another game that does more of this stuff, it always takes me back and doesn't it. To me, it's just a reminder that the game isn't going to be worth my time, and I try to latch onto other aspects of the game that hopefully keep me going through. And if it doesn't do that, then I drop out.
Uh-huh.
This happened on Persona 4, right? And that's what people, or sorry, Persona 5. And that's
Persona
what
5, yeah.
Yeah, Persona 5. And that's what people say, you know, oh, it's a mature storyline, right? And they're quoting, like, you know, saying stuff like that. And I play it and I'm like, no, this is I've played this stuff before. It's the same thing, it just smells a little different. So anyway,
But
going on a little bit of a tirade.
no, you're not, because no, you're not. Go ahead, continue. I'll let you continue.
Well, I was expecting a little bit more, and the fact that, you know, given that, reading some of the reviews, getting, you know,
What were you expecting though, as far as a little more? I don't understand.
I always expect something that's worth my time.
This is definitely worth your time. An 8 out of 10 is worth your time.
It's not 8 out of 10. It's sub 8. 8 is like almost a hard cutoff for me.
Wait. Famitsu gave you an 8. Okay.
I don't care about Famitsu. They gave
okay.
Their scores are complete. They gave that Kojima game that just came out, I think, a perfect 40.
Death Stranding.
Yeah, I think they gave that like a perfect score. So they're weird. I don't trust their scores. They've given some games. They gave Final Fantasy 12 a perfect score. Like, I'm not saying that 12 isn't at all. I'm just saying like they're weird on their scoring system. I don't trust their scores.
Okay.
It's like hit or miss with them and with a lot of other places. For them, I think there might be some degree of politics. Either way, that's why I base my scores on the aggregate, right? I'm always looking at the main, the aggregate of everything, and then I look at a couple of different reviews here and there. So as far as I'm concerned, this is sub 8 and at 77%, as shown by Metacritic and OpenCritic.
Well,
And
Metacritic, yeah, the user score is a little higher, so yeah.
User score I'd almost never look at.
Okay.
Well, I look at to determine meaning, but I don't look at that in order to determine quality of any, like actual legitimate quality. I always look at a user score and think of reasons why it's either high or low that are not directly related to the quality of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So if I see something that's being low rated on a user score, I think, oh, the developers probably did something that pissed off the fans.
Right.
That's what I.
Yeah. No, you can get that. Yeah, right. No, I understand that.
So with this game, it's just below that cutoff point for me, where I feel like I'm not going to get enough interesting newness to be worth my time.
Well, you're not going to get newness because it's an older game, and for you to call it tropey, it just doesn't make any sense. Regardless if it's the third iteration in the series, it's not necessarily the third iteration in the series. They've had a few kind of different things going on there. With Secret of Mana, Final Fantasy Adventure, and then this one here. They're all doing they are all doing very different things. Regardless of they are.
I'm sorry. Your argument is gone. This is not an old game. You're saying you're kind of giving the excuse that it is okay to bring back this old tropiness from the original game. Meanwhile,
if you're remaking a game, you're not gonna change it.
Well, that's what I'm trying to get at. They remade the game. They changed huge parts of the game. Huge parts.
In this game?
Absolutely.
What if they change? What if they change? That's huge.
The combat.
The combat is have you played the original?
It does. This combat system does not play like the original.
The combat system, okay, it doesn't play like. But you're not gonna change the story though. That's where I'm hitting you with. I'm not hitting you with anything else. You're gonna want to hit the same story beats. You're not gonna change that at all.
Remake. And look how much they changed. Are you kidding me?
They changed the right, but they're not changing the story. They're not changing the tropiness of Final Fantasy VII, which I don't like anyway. They're not changing that at all. They're keeping that the same.
They took what was normally like a 2 to 4 hour long experience, probably shorter than that, and expanded it to 30 hours. Are you kidding me? They changed the story dramatically.
I don't know.
Look, they don't have to change the story, but they had the opportunity to. And I'm not saying to change the story, but they could rethink the presentation of stuff. But once again, I don't expect that in a game that is clearly being pitched for a younger audience. And because of that, I am out.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing.
I will also say that the GameSpot review being a 60 makes 0 sense to me, and that is also bringing that aggregate score down. Having it at a 60 just makes no sense, and their reasons for it are even make less sense to me.
Well, different people have different opinions. That's why I don't dwell.
But that was the same thing with Jason Schreier for Kotaku. That was my biggest issue with him. He would constantly review games and then always say that he doesn't like RPGs. He would always give RPGs bad scores, regardless if other people like them or not. But he would always then say that he is not a fan of RPGs. So then, why is he reviewing RPGs when he has that negative connotation to begin with? I don't know if that's where this GameSpot reviewer stands, but I mean, to have an outlier like that really makes no sense to me, and especially his reasons for not liking the game. Again, don't make any sense to me.
There are way worse grievances than a score that is 17 points away from the norm, from the current aggregate. So it's not deviating all that heavily. Now, if it was like a 3 or a 4, then yeah, I could kind of see people calling, raising their torches and stuff like that. But it depends on the perspective of the person.
But that's that is a big deviation. If I'm considering, say I'm considering it an 80 and this person's considering a 60, that's a 20-point deviation. That is a very big deviation.
That's perfectly fine.
That's a huge difference, though.
No, that is more than reasonable.
Would you play a 6 out of 10 game, or would you play an 8 out of 10 game? Chances are, an 8 out of 10 is going to be preferable.
Oh, you already know the answer. I already told you. Like,
right.
8 is generally my minimum cutoff. However, I don't base my opinion or my sort of like buy point or whatever on one review. So I read these highs and lows, but I don't dwell too much on it. I take notes on what they are pushing as their qualms or praising as the good parts of the game. I take all that into consideration, but at the end of the day, I don't dwell too much on one particular review. I always pay attention to the aggregate, because there's always going to be outliers on extreme outliers on the highs and lows of things. And we should have these extreme outliers on the high end and on the low end. They have, who knows what their motives are, but I'd rather live in that world where there are people coming at it from very different opinions and reflecting those opinions in fairly different scores. That's perfectly fine. That's why I trust the aggregate more than anything else, is because it gives me a very good ballpark idea for what to expect.
Right. Well, it's an 8 out of 10 for me. So play it, Johnny. All right.
Maybe if it hits a sale, I'll probably pick it up then. But
it's on sale. It's on sale. It's $50.
Well, that was another thing I mentioned earlier, is that the fact that they're charging $50 they probably knew what their target demographic is and what their budget for the game was intended for. Now, it looks like it's polished. It looks like it's very polished, well done game for what it is. It looks like it's lacking the depth.
Yeah, I don't know if their target audience came into mind when coming up with the price. I mean, it's a possibility. I have no idea, but
yeah. And you're asking me what I'm looking for. I'm looking for another Xenoblade, right? I'm looking for that kind of caliber.
But they're not remaking Xenoblade. They're remaking Trials of Mana.
Yeah, right. But
if they're to make a new game, maybe they'll make something in in the realm of that.
Right. I'm not saying to make Xenoblade. I'm saying to make a Xenoblade quality RPG. That's what I want. I want something.
But they're remaking Trials of Mana. How can you ask for Xenoblade or something similar to that or whatever if they're remaking a game?
Look, it's a remake. Look at what they did with Resident Evil 2. Look at what they did with Final Fantasy 7. Clearly, Final Fantasy 7, good lord, that remake is crazy. What the amount of work and effort they put into it. Resident Evil 2, all the same. They completely changed how the game plays. Right? It's behind the shoulder, third person. It's no longer static cameras.
No static cameras. No tank control. Well, is it tank controls still?
It's Resident Evil 4 controls, which is slightly tanky.
Yeah.
But it's still like you have way more mobility than you've ever had compared to Resident Evil 2. So what I'm getting at is those are just two very recent examples of extremely well done remakes that clearly, rethought huge chunks of it. And this one definitely has bits of lots of rethinking, but it's mostly graphically and combat wise. And unfortunately, in that process, they removed one of the major, I think, incentives for the Mana series, which is the multiplayer.
Yeah, they did remove that. For some reason, they couldn't think of how to implicate that.
Well, they knew how. They just didn't want to do the effort.
Yeah.
That would have been
yeah, it would have been a $60 game. And they should have done it if it's gonna,
I would have gotten it if it had multiplayer. That was the first notch, of me being, dismayed and kind of not wanting to buy it, was that That was
Right.
that was a huge notch off of the belt or whatever.
Chop it.
Whatever.
But I do recommend it. So far, about halfway done, maybe. So we'll see how things turn. We'll see. All right. So moving on. News. Upcoming Panzer Dragoon patch brings 60 FPS. Now, is this 60 FPS to the Switch version as well?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
This is specifically for the Switch.
Okay. Now, have you played Panzer Dragoon?
No, I've wanted to. I've wanted to play it for ever since it came out, and I never got around to it because I don't want to go. I didn't own the consoles that it first came out on,
Yep.
the Dreamcast, and I didn't want to. Or did it come out on Saturn first?
One Sega system. I'm not sure which one. Sega CD, maybe?
No,
No? I don't know.
it's not that old.
I made that up.
Either way, and I could be wrong, so I might be wrong on that. But either way, it was always a game because it's a Star Fox game, and I am a huge Star Fox fan. But I never got around to it, and by that time it was already outdated, and I didn't want to buy the consoles for or anything like that. So I was looking forward to this remake as long as it reviewed well. It didn't review well, so I never got it, and it one of the big things against it was how poorly the game handled, both in controls and how it ran. That was a huge complaint in some of the reviews.
Yep. It's Sega Saturn, by the way. Sorry, I had to look that up.
All right, it is Saturn.
Yeah, I mean, I've never gotten into these on the rail type shooters. They just never interested me. As even with Star Fox, I need that kind of freedom when I'm, I guess, flying around. Like Daemon X Machina kind of had that for me. But kind of
That's not a rails shooter.
What isn't?
Daemon X Machina.
It's not, right?
Yeah, it's not.
That's what I'm saying. I enjoyed it more because it's not an on the rails shooter. I need the freedom. I need to be able to fly wherever the heck I want, you know.
Right. I mean, Star Fox. Some levels on Star Fox, right, are free roam. Right. It's got that 3D roam motion. I'm fine with on rails shooters as long as they are very well done and are doing things interesting.
Sure.
And the original game is highly rated. It's not something that was. It's not like I'm trying to pay attention to a game that was okay.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking Panzer Dragoon. Let me try to dig up the old review aggregate for that. It was actually highly rated from what I remember.
Really? Yeah, I remember this game coming out. The remake we're talking about here. I remember them people talking about it. It just kind of never, I don't know. It just doesn't really do anything for me. I don't know how the RPG elements play into it. I'm sure they, maybe make your dragon tougher. I have no idea.
So Panzer Dragoon. So the only reviews I could pull up is the aggregate for Panzer Dragoon Orta, which I believe is either like a remake or a sequel to the original Panzer Dragoon game. That came out on Xbox, and I didn't own the original Xbox. And that average, based on 41 critics, 90.
Wow.
That is exceptional. So that was one of the turn your head moments, and I believe when I was reading EGM way back when, and looking into like the Dreamcast, or maybe not Dreamcast, or whatever, the Panzer Dragoon was something I was kind of paying attention to because the original game did review rather well. So it's a little. I was slightly looking forward to it. I was paying attention, and it didn't do well review score wise. It's in like the 60-ish, 60, 63 or something
Panzer
like
Dragoon?
The remake for Switch.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
But on this update that they have, and they didn't give a date for it yet, they're kind of experiencing some delay due to the COVID situation. But there's a lot of stuff here. So there's performance increases, HD rumble. They reduced the lag on the controls, which was one of the major issues one of the reasons why the game scored poorly on the Switch was because of how poor was because of the lack of polish and the performance issues, both not just on graphics but on your controls. Those input lag on your controls. That's terrible.
That is terrible.
That's not something you want in this kind of game. This patch also has gyro controls. They reworked some of the sound effects. They allowed you to. It looks like they have some button remapping type stuff that you can have here. They added some auto lock-on stuff. They added some content, so episode 0, whatever that is.
Cool.
A new game mode, new cheat codes, new gameplay options.
It's a pretty substantial update.
Yeah, it's a big update. It looks like they kind of paid attention to what the reviews were saying and complaining about.
Good.
It took it to heart and are righting the ship. Unfortunately,
it might be too late.
It's definitely too late. There's no way this game is going to get re-reviewed after this.
Yeah, a lot of outlets don't typically re-review games. Now, we have done it for maybe a few games, not too many, but we're small, we're small potatoes compared to a lot of these bigger outlets. There's no way, and that's where you're gonna get your steam, right? Like, if you want people to really pick back up on this game, you're gonna need those bigger outlets to help you out with that. And yeah, that's too bad that they may not get potentially what they want, but they're helping out the people who bought the game, and maybe it'll kick back some newer people to buy the game. All right, moving on again. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition allows you to choose between original and remastered soundtracks. Now, it's like they're yeah. Well, I love that they let you they have the original there, but I'm interested to see how different they are. Are they Dragon Quest chiptune orchestral difference, or are they just like how different are they?
Yeah, they say remaster, so is it just the original different tracks to each composition and they just remastered it, or did they actually re-record? Oh, it does say so at least the Colony 9 theme was re-recorded, so that's one song that is updated, instrumentally updated at the very least. And there's a lot of other remastering. So this is exactly what I want. It's good. The ability to maintain the original soundtrack because it is so awesome. And I complained about this before. I was like slightly worried because they're changing the soundtrack, they're remastering the soundtrack, and that was the one thing I didn't want them to touch. But the fact that they're keeping that and adding the new stuff, it's the best of both worlds. I have no more complaints. I am in full gore.
Well, I'm in to begin with, so it'll be my first diving though. This is like your third, isn't it? Fourth?
It'll be the third.
Jeez.
Can't wait.
Yeah, I'm with you too. This is like the game I'm waiting for this year, and it's like an old game, Whatever. All right. So the latest issue of Famitsu has changed the release date for Digimon Survive from 2020 to TBA. Now, a Bandai Namco US rep has confirmed to Jamatsu that Digimon Survive is still on track for 2020, and that the switch from 2020 to TBA is a typo on Famitsu's side. So we have some miscommunication here. I'm not exactly sure what's going on, but there's something going on.
And this is like the Digimon. So Digimon Survive, looked at it. It's like a tactics game.
I think so. I think you're right.
So it's some sort of like Fire Emblem-ish RPG tactical kind of game. You have your Digimon out in a battlefield. There's a grid seemingly a grid movement system to the combat, and it actually looks kind of good. So.
Yeah, well, I hope it's I think it's been delayed already once. I want to say it's already been delayed.
Yeah.
But yeah, there may be some communication, but yeah, they're still on track for 2020. So that is good for the folks who like Digimon. I myself am not a huge Digimon fan. I just don't. I think there are already too many Mons out there. I have no idea what these Digi ones are doing.
I don't care for Digimon at all. But if this scratches that kind of tactical combat, because a tactics game typically focuses on combat first and foremost, and like other aspects kind of take a back seat. And because they focus on combat, they kind of add more nuance and interesting mechanics to that. So I'm kind of hoping, and the fact that it's Digimon, I'm hoping that this is sort of like a scratches that what's the word?
Or at least it kind of forces like the developers and the writers to kind of change their ways. You know, if they're so used to doing kind of the capture these monsters and pin them up against each other formula, this kind of changes things up a little bit. Now, I will say, I don't know about the Digimon series. I know very little about them. But at least for the Pokemon series, like the stories are very, very stale. You want to talk about rehashing? It's Pokemon series.
Oh, combat's stale too.
Oh, the combat's very stale. I was so wishing that they would do something just different. I don't know what they would do. I'm not in charge of Game Freak, so I don't know it just needs something, you know?
Well, combat and Digimon, or Pokemon and Digimon, they're not for us, right? We're too old.
Yeah.
These are not games for us. We play it once.
Right.
And
you
it's
grow
different.
up.
Well, you don't have to grow up. You can play it, still very old, but once you play one, you've kind of played them all because they don't change it too much because they're always making their games for the next new generation.
You're right.
Games.
And I think sometimes, me personally, especially me, we just forget that, we're so used to, and we kind of latch on to these things that are, when we grew up, we hope they grow up with us, and they don't. They kind of stay in their place.
Yeah. So the game I was mentioning that I hope this game scratches the itch of is Monster Rancher. So
Monster Ranger. That is
Rancher.
Monster
Rancher.
Okay.
So if it scratches that itch, cool. If it doesn't, well, if it reviews well, I'll still pay attention to it.
You won't buy it, all right? Trials of Mana is an example there. Doesn't matter.
Didn't review well.
It did review well. A 77% out of 100 is freaking good, man.
3 points away. 3 points away.
That's it. I'm gonna put my vote in for those. Can I swing the 3 points? Do I have that sort of flexibility here?
There are games of franchises that I absolutely love, like Tales games that I never played because it never hit that 80.
Oh, you are ridiculous. You are ridiculous.
I just don't have the time. I want to play
you have plenty of time now.
Yeah, playing the best of the best.
Okay, yeah, you go back in time 40 years and play your games. Okay, so moving on to this week, Nintendo only Famitsu Most Wanted charts. Yep. What are some of these I've never heard of. Okay, so let's just kind of get the big hitters out of the way. I'm gonna go from 10, I guess, down.
Before saying that, just to let people know, this is a polling by the Famitsu team in Japan, where they poll their readers to assess what the readers are most excited for regarding up-and-coming games. And then they take the number of votes on a per game basis, and they order it. So starting with a number 1, followed by 2, 3, 4, etc. So number 1 is going to be the game that most people are absolutely interested in. It's the highest voted game for public interest.
Right. So outside of 10 that I'm kind of interested in, there are maybe a couple. Okay, there's Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered, which came in at number 14. There are 16 on this list. And then Sakuna of Rice and Ruin, which a lot of people are kind of excited about, came in at 15. So outside of 10, that's what we had. Number 10 was Brigadine, The Legend of Runerja. No idea what that is. Maybe that's a Japanese title. I honestly don't know. Number 9 is Momotora Dentetsu. Again, another
Japanese.
Yep, another Switch title. I have no idea. Number 8, Trials of Mana. Number 7, we have Rune Factory 5. Some people are excited about Rune Factory. Rune Factory 4 got quite a bit of buzz, and I wonder what 5 will have in store. So we got some excitement there. Pretty good. Number 6, Yushiro. Do you know what that is? Stop me if you heard of it.
Yushiro. it's such a concise name that I feel like we
Right.
should.
I feel like I should know. Like a lot of these other Japanese names, it's like you gotta hold your like take a deep breath to say it all. But
I'm pulling up trailers for each of these. Yushiro does not look like it's worth our time
okay.
at all.
All right. So number 5, we have Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. So that's at number 5. I can't even imagine like what is before this that you would want.
I'm surprised it's that high
You're
because
surprised? Yeah. Okay.
it's a remaster, right? It's
But not everybody played it. It was on the Wii. I didn't initially have the Wii. I mean, I feel like I should have. Everyone and their grandma had it, you know, but I didn't have it. I certainly did not play Xenoblade Chronicles, so that would be higher on my list anyway.
All right, so Yushiro, looking at the gameplay trailer, not worth our time. It is.
So why do people want this game?
Anyway. I have no. They're drinking the weird sauce. It looks like it's a mobile game ported over.
Well, I mean, if you say that, that is mobile games in Japan just kind of coincide together. That's that's a huge market for them. So it's a possibility that it is a mobile game, a mobile kind of port over. Who knows?
Yep.
Number 4 is Bravely Default 2. And I'm really surprised that this is up over Xenoblade Chronicles 2 because Bravely Default 2 kind of it still has that 3DS or 3DS kind of feel to it to me. It doesn't feel as fleshed out or as in deep as a lot of these other RPGs that like Xenoblade Chronicles, you know, things
right,
like
but
that.
It's a brand new game. It's
right.
a sequel. It's a brand new game. If this was Xenoblade 3, then yeah, you better believe it's going to be like number. Well, I don't think it's going to top the number 1 pick, but you know, it would be number 2.
Gotcha. Okay. But number 4, Bravely Default 2. Number 3 is a game that we know very little about, other than some weird kind of trailers. Is Shin Megami Tensei 5, which kind of has me interested, but I just need more. There's been very little in terms of gameplay. It's just been all cinematic type of stuff. Number 3 has been even less information. It's Bayonetta 3, number 2. At number 2, sorry. I don't know. I think the Bayonetta thing is kind of sailed past me. I tried getting into Bayonetta 2. I don't know. I'm not a fan.
The problem with Bayonetta is that the story on all of them is just terrible. There's no point in having a story. It has excellent combat.
Yep.
And that's it.
But there's there's nothing driving that combat.
Yeah, there's nothing else after that. It's missing the meta game, the pull to get to the next combat.
Yeah.
The combat's solid. It's just there's nothing else around that. The only thing that's driving you is character progression, so you can get more. I forgot what it was, the little red gemmy things or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Get more of that, so you can buy more abilities to level up your character.
Yeah, it just I don't know, it just wasn't for me. I tried it though. I did try it. Then number 1, never heard of this game. Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild 2.
You haven't heard of it because it's not out yet.
It's not out yet. But there's stuff like in the rumor mill about this game, which is kind of interesting. People have so many wacky ideas. It's so funny. But yeah, that is the Famitsu's Most Wanted list. Just to kind of I'll go back from 5. Xenoblade Chronicles, Definitive Edition, Bravely Default 2, SMT 5, Bayonetta 3, and then The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild 2.
So I looked up Brigadine, Legend of Runesaria, whatever it's called.
Runesia. I don't know.
Runesia, yeah. This is a Jonny game. It's a tactics strategy RPG. It looks like a Jonny game through and through. However, it does look like it was a mobile game that was ported to Switch.
Okay.
It does look like that. Like graphically, it's not bad. It's just there's a lot of things, and there's like that low polygon model stuff that you get with mobile games.
Yep.
Very low poly counts, and you can kind of see that here. However, kind of looks good. It's on a, instead of being a grid, it's on a hex system. Characters moving. There's like magical attacks and creatures of all sorts just battling each other, area attacks and whatnot. So I'm gonna keep an eye out on that one.
All right, he's putting. I see him writing it down. Right, he's writing it down, making a little note of it, and so he's gonna put a post-it on his screen there, so he sees it every day. All right. Nintendo Switch eShop received a slight update. When? What? You put this here, right? What update did it get?
So the eShop now allows you to, what was it? Like you could sort. Oh, no. If you hover your icon, your selector over a panel, a game panel, it'll automatically flip through the screenshots of that game.
Okay.
So it does like
I see. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Nintendo. You've updated your eShop.
Because most of the games would show like title art,
Right.
like the box art.
Yeah.
And you had to actually hit the button to go into it, to then hit the shoulder buttons, to then scroll through the various images that are there. And now you can just hover for 2 seconds, and then you automatically see the screenshots.
You get some screenshots. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Kind of something that should have been there to begin with. But hey, they're catching up, guys. They've only had 3 years. All right, so Kirby design director, who is that? Do we know that guy?
We do.
Who is that guy?
I don't think it's Sakurai, though.
Oh, okay. Then never mind. We may not know that guy. All right, Kirby design director wants to make a non-action spin-off of Kirby? Like an RPG? Would that work?
Well, don't know what it could be. It's non-action spin-off. So the last few Kirby games have been very action-oriented. Right? There's that free-to-play Kirby game, very action-oriented. It's like Kirby meets Monster Hunter, weird stuff. And then there's the Kirby game where you had like 4 Kirby's on screen that came out on Switch.
Star Allies.
Yeah, Kirby.
My kids still play it. It's pretty crazy. Really easy though. Really, really easy.
Very action-y type games. So, the fact that they say, oh, we're not going to do an action game, I think one of 2 possibilities. We get weird Kirby spin-offs, and some of the Kirby spin-offs are some of the best Kirby games. Like Canvas Curse comes to mind. Love that game.
You are the Kirby guru on the show, so I know very little about Kirby.
But there are some Kirby games that are absolutely amazing stuff. Like Kirby Canvas Curse, awesome game. It's just Kirby's a little ball, and you're sort of like you have to draw on the DS, right on the bottom screen. You draw to guide the ball, so you're like creating like this rainbow roller coaster that Kirby the ball is going to roll through, and you can tap on them to go faster. And if there's an enemy there, there's like different ways to attack the enemy. You can like hit the button, tap on Kirby to make them like super ball roll faster. That can be an attack that you do, and you only have limited use for your, I think it was like ink or whatever, your rainbow ink stuff. Interesting, weird game. It's not like any other Kirby game before. They did make a sequel to it on the Wii U.
Right.
I forgot what they called it. It was like the Rainbow Cruise or something like that. I forgot what the Wii U version was. I didn't get it, but
it probably didn't rate like an 85 or something. And
that's why I didn't. But once again, it was a novel game that did something very, very different and new.
Right.
And I played it because of that and really, really enjoyed it. But the sequel has to blow the lid off if it. I'm not a guaranteed returning customer. I am never a return customer. If you do great on the first one, paying attention to the second one, and you got to do great. Unless the first one you just went crazy.
All right. So you guys didn't play Chronicles. I'm sure you absolutely. What about X? What happened there?
Absolutely. I was like, Chronicles was so good that I was already sold on X. I was already there. I was paying attention to that game when they first announced it, and unfortunately it took like 3 years for the game to come out, and I was watching anything I could from it. I was so excited when I first learned that there was actual multiplayer in X.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, AJ, me and you, we're gonna play this together, and we did play a little bit of multiplayer together on that.
Now, what were your thoughts on X?
I loved it.
Okay,
X is great.
all right, good. And then you were in on Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I knew that they make great games. Once again,
they do. Yep.
I still waited for reviews.
Yeah.
I still wait.
Well, I think in terms of Kirby, here is what we said. It was Famitsu. They had kind of an interview with the folks at HAL Laboratories. So it was see if I can get their names here. It was a lead. I'm sorry, what was it?
There's like 3 of them here.
Yeah, lead action programmer, a general director, and design director were all in the discussion. And so one of the things one of the comments was, I really want the next thing we create to be called the pinnacle of Kirby games. I'm positive the Kirby series can become even more fun. Another one said, for me personally, I'd like to make a non-action Kirby spin-off game. We're going to have a wide variety of Kirby coming out in the future. So I don't know what else they have kind of announced. I don't think they've announced anything else.
They haven't.
No,
So this is an announcement. Like, there is a Kirby game coming out.
There's something.
Does this comment, is this like a misquote? Is the next Kirby game coming out?
Right. Is it a translation issue? I don't know if they were, I don't know if this was translated. I have no idea.
It could be an actual spin-off, like the next Kirby game we see, because the last major Kirby game was fairly traditional.
Yep.
Right? The Star Allies that looked and played and felt like a Kirby game.
Yep.
Except with multiplayer. So, if that's out the window, with this next one being a spin-off, and particularly a non-action oriented spin-off, what could it be? They made a Kirby pinball game.
Yep.
Probably multiple Kirby pinball games.
I played the original. I think it was on Game Boy. Yeah.
Yeah, they did the Dream Course golf game. Weird.
Mm-hmm.
That game's weird.
But the last quote, each entry in the series has its merits, but I want to make something that exceeds previous games. So I don't know. I would love to see an RPG. They have so many different characters in Kirby that you could easily see in an RPG, especially with the villains. I think they're all kind of cool, kind of interesting. You even see, are they in Smash? They're in Smash as well, right? They have to be, right?
Yeah, King DDD and
Meta Knight.
Meta Knight. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, give us an RPG. Dang it. All right, Famitsu Game Awards 2019. Wow, they are behind the times. What is going on here? You linked this article. Is this like an old article?
Ah, it's new.
Holy cow! Game Awards 2019? What have they been waiting for?
I do not know. I guess they actually waited for the end of the year.
Wow.
And then had their judges actually play the games. Unlike most places where they don't give enough time for the judges to actually play all the games.
Gotcha. So they've had 4 additional months to come up with this list. And
that's what I'm hoping, right?
Yeah, I don't know. So I'll go after the big hitters here. We have Best Rookie Award, Death Stranding.
Well, I think that's fitting. Brand new studio.
Yeah, brand new studio. I feel like all of his cronies went over with him, but yeah, sure. Death Stranding, Kojima Productions, brand new studio. Whatever. Best Indie Award, Nausea? I'm not sure what that is. Yeah, I don't know. It's GNOSIA for Best Indie Award. I don't know. I'm gonna not go with Best RPG Award yet. Best Action Adventure Game is Death Stranding. How is that? Is that an action adventure game? Honestly, I don't know.
Wait, what is Action Award?
Well,
got it. Yep.
Yeah. So Best Action Adventure Game, is Death Stranding. Whatever.
It is an action adventure game, although there's probably other games that could better fit that category.
Now, does an action game need combat? Just asking.
Yes.
Does Death Stranding have combat?
Yes.
It does?
Yeah.
All right,
You have
whatever.
guns. There's guns in that game.
Guns? Oh, I'm not touching that game. That game's got guns. All right, Best Action Award goes to Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. I think that's really good, really fitting. Best Adventure Award. This is a game you actually talked about. 13 Sentinels: Aegis Rim. Maybe we'll get that eventually. Best Creator in China. Hideo Kojima. Is he in China?
No, he's not.
Okay. Best Game in China. Why are they going? All right. Best Game in China, Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. I don't know why. I'm sorry. I don't know why they're differentiating these like this.
So this award show took place in Japan. Maybe this award show like straddles because it says Famitsu/Dengeki.
Okay, so maybe it's Japan, China type of thing.
Yeah, so maybe Famitsu covers the Japan side and Dengeki covers the China side.
I don't know. Okay. Best Music, Persona 5, Royal.
Sure.
Really? I don't know.
I'm not a fan of jazz in general, and there's a lot of jazz in the Persona 5 soundtrack.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's just I'm not a fan of that style.
Right. Me too. Best Graphics Award goes to Death Stranding. Okay.
Oh,
I can see that. This game is very visually stunning, I would say. All right, Best RPG Award goes to Pokemon Sword and Shield. Really? I feel like that's lazy.
That is very lazy. You know what's not even mentioned on any of these awards? First off, there's no strategy or tactics award.
No Fire Emblem, right?
Exactly. There's no Fire
Emblem. I'm sorry. Is that where you're going to go?
That is where I was going to go.
Okay.
Yeah. There's no Fire Emblem on this list whatsoever. Another thing that's missing from this list is our favorite cop chain game,
Astral Chain.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
and that's not on this list. And you have Death Stranding listed
too many times.
Six times. If it is Death Stranding, it's Kojima.
Right, and I was gonna say most valuable creator is Hideo Kojima, but I figured he'd had enough showtime here. So, all right, yeah, best RPG award goes to Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Well, do you see what won Game of the Year?
That was gonna be my next.
Yeah.
So if Pokemon Sword and Shield won best RPG, the Game of the Year, Pokemon Sword and Shield. Like, really? I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, this is not a
good thing they had 4 extra months to put this through.
I question a lot of, like, Astral Chain to me should have won the action or action adventure award. And Sekiro I would have put as Game of the Year.
And there's no Disco Elysium is not even on here anywhere. That is
I understand that. That's a not, it typically Western games don't do very well.
No, and I was gonna kind of say that, but there are Western games on here. Best Shooter goes to Apex Legends. Best Esports Award goes to Fortnite. What else? I thought I saw
those are on there because guess what?
Those are the only ones to play.
Yeah, they're free to play, so they're easily accessible. And the problem with Western games getting into is kind of advertising, like penetrating the Japanese market and getting people aware of your game. And once they're aware, they're going to start to grab on because the quality is there. It's just that penetration factor is hard.
Yeah, that's just too bad. I don't know. Pokemon Sword and Shield for best RPG and then also Game of the Year. Kind of just weird.
No mention of Fire Emblem.
Yeah, at least Fire Emblem should have won at least best RPG, but even then, to give Sword and Shield the best game, I don't know.
13 Sentinels won twice. It won 2 different awards.
Yeah. Is that still on a post-it on your screen?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I am very much interested in that game.
All right. Ubisoft sending out a survey focused on Nintendo Switch and Mario plus Rabbids. I actually got this whatever you call it, a survey about not necessarily about this, but this was mentioned. And yeah, I would love to see another Mario plus Rabbids, or could they extend the Rabbids plus to something else? I mean, Rabbids is their kind of bread and butter, right? Could they make Zelda plus Rabbids, or could they do something like that?
Nintendo plus Rabbids.
All right, the Nintendo world, yeah. Why not?
You know, they could do it. They could do it like I don't know, make it like weird and quirky, like the Rabbids, and do something like completely bonkers. Like Wario would be a good way to
There you go.
tie in other Nintendo franchises without having to call it, you know, Nintendo. They could say Wario cross Rabbids, and then just because Wario's a wacky character, they can pull in Samus and Link and other
Yep.
pull in from other franchises like that. But I would
Yeah.
I would love to see some sort of like weird hodgepodge, ridiculous story that's kind of like Captain N style
Hmm.
weirdness, where your posse, your crew, trying to thwart the various villains from different Nintendo franchises. Your little crew is, you know, whatever, Wario and a bunch of Rabbids, and you take your posse and you go to each world, and each world is going to be the boss of, you know, be Ganon in one world, Mother Brain in another one,
Yeah.
Bowser, etc. And you're gonna get both a Rabbid and the Nintendo, right? You'll get the Samus Rabbid and you'll get the Samus herself as
That
well, right?
that would be awesome. I
That'd
would
be
love
awesome.
I would love to see a mashup of the Nintendo world. Or even if they kept it basic, like your Wario, have Wario join up with the evil Rabbids, or Waluigi join up with the evil Rabbids, whatever, something to add on to those really kind of Mario type characters. I think that would be kind of cool. And then maybe potentially move up to like the Nintendo world, you know?
Yeah. What they're missing is the humor was very much like an Ubisoft style humor and presentation. And what
Hmm.
they were missing was that sort of Nintendo inside joke humor that Nintendo does very well. And if
Right.
they can lean more towards that direction and really insert that weird Nintendo humor in addition to that rabid Ubisoft style humor, and combine the two and make the two uh, work off of one another
I think
in
they
a
could, yeah.
well executed way, it would be great.
Yeah, and I think they could definitely do something like that. I think that'd be very smart. But
Yeah.
yeah, bring it on. Bring on more Mario plus Rabbids. I almost feel like this is a lot of people miss out on this game. I don't. Did you play this game?
What, Mario plus Rabbits?
Yeah,
Yeah, I beat
yeah.
it.
Okay, yes. So did I. Their DLC was actually pretty decent as well, and I think a lot of people slept on this game mostly because of the Rabbids themselves. But they weren't nearly as annoying as I thought they would be. Yeah, they're Rabbids. They're still Rabbids, but they weren't that bad. They weren't that bad. It was a good game.
It sold pretty well though. It sold well over 1 million.
And I continue to see it on sale, like ridiculous sales too. I think I saw it for like 15, $20. Like, buy this game. It's a good game.
It is a really good game. It's actually not too long. It's not too short. It's kind of at like a just right
Yeah. I'd like to
size.
see a little more exploration. Like there's kind of a little bit of that with a tiny bit of puzzles, a little bit of I'd like to see them advance on that a little bit. It's kind of on the rails, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very handholdy.
Yeah, yeah. And
There-
it is probably because it's geared towards a younger audience as well.
Yeah,
Um,
it's and that's the thing. Like the gameplay is shallow because it's geared towards a younger audience. However, it is doing very new things
mhm.
for the tactical combat style thing. It's sort of like doing what Mario Kart did for racing games. It's Mario plus Rabbids did that for tactics combat games.
Yeah.
It has that weird quirkiness where you can like move, go through a pipe, move through a character to do a slide attack, park yourself behind a wall or barricade of some sort to get the cover bonus, and then fire off a shot that will then cause the enemy to like bounce
Bounce.
backwards into something else that then causes something to explode. So you get these like chain reaction of events
Right.
that you can legitimately plan for and cause to trigger. A lot of the I love the mechanics, how predictable it is. Like it's either 100% or 0% or 50%,
Hmm.
right? very solid stuff. It's a very solid and well done game, although limited in what it's doing. So if they just take that initial what they have set up and run with it, the sequel would be great.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So
Gotta
yeah,
loop some rails.
a little bit of that I think will probably go a long way. All right, so an inactive Best Buy listing for the Nintendo Switch version of Super Mario World 3D. Really?
Wait, said that backwards, but yeah.
Super Mario 3D World.
Yes.
Did it. I did it, guys. I said it right. I actually saw this when Wario64, our king of Twitter, he's my king of Twitter anyways, he saw that a listing not activated for Super Mario 3D World was at Best Buy. He had the SKU number, he had a price tag, and it was $60, which I think is a big ask for that game. But obviously take it with a grain of salt as well. So,
Oh, it's one of the best Mario games.
I know, but it is also an older Mario game. Now, what else are they doing with this game? Are they just making
Not
it
that much
available?
older.
Are they just making it available for the Switch? Because it's really not. I mean,
I think they're probably going to do some sort of deluxe edition to it. They have to, but
there's been no expansions or DLCs or anything for Super Mario for 3D World, though.
There hasn't. But you're right. There is a precedent. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. All they did was add
Funky Kong,
and maybe like one or two other small minor things, but Funky Kong was generally it, and they still charged the full 60.
Yeah, that is also, but that's
and that's a Wii U game, right? And this is also a Wii U game.
This is a Wii U game, but this came out like 7 years ago. Yeah. It's an old game.
7?
7.
This is 7 years ago.
7 years ago.
Really?
Initial release date November 21st, 2013.
It's not 7 years yet. 6.5.
A 6.5-year-old game, yes. Okay, 6.5 years old. I won't give Trials of Mana as 80, but it's at 77. But I'll make it 7. Oh, whatever. I'm not bitter about it or anything. All right. Anyway, yeah, it's a 6.5-year-old game. $60. That's like $10 a year.
They did it to Mario Kart. Come on.
But Mario Kart had a lot more. It had additional stuff to it.
Captain Toad.
Captain Toad, was that a full price game though?
It might have been 50. I have it.
Yeah, I don't think it was a full price game, but whatever. Anyway,
but I don't think it was a full price game when it first released either.
No, it wasn't, because it was I mean, initially it's a Mario 3D World minigame. That's where it initially came from. And then they kind of expanded on that. But yeah, I think initially it was like $40, and then came over to the Switch, it might have been $50. I don't think it was full price. Full price 60. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
This could also be a $60 just, Super Mario 3D All-Stars.
It could be. It could be that, which has been it has been rumored to have something similar to that. So
yeah. But the rumor was for Super Mario Sunshine and Super Mario 64
and Galaxy. Yeah, so it looks
they don't call it Super Mario 3D All Stars, or something close to that, and do that All Stars name, they need to do that.
They're not going to do it.
They should.
They've abandoned the name.
Yeah, they need to bring it back.
Speaking of Best Buy is all over the leaking news. Usually it's like Walmart Canada, but this time it's like Best Buy. So pretty interesting here. Metroid Prime Trilogy could be coming to the Nintendo Switch. Because why?
This year.
Yeah, and this year. I think there was. I had it highlighted and I lost it. Dang it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's no dates here, but there is a listing on the website, and even at some other places too. This might be the wrong article, but there's another place, some other game seller that also had a listing for Metroid Prime Trilogy for the Switch, dated this year, just
2020.
no specific, 2020, nothing specific. And there was, as you said, Best Buy did the same thing as well. So this is expect some awesomeness.
Yeah. So it kind of leads me to believe that there's another. Maybe it's going to be around E3 time. We'll get that direct with kind of loaded type of stuff. Whether it's the Mario, all that Mario rumors that we were hearing, maybe Metroid, probably some of these other games that we're kind of waiting on, like Breath of the Wild 2, Metroid Prime 4. I think that's when we'll get kind of those big hitters. But yeah, Metroid Prime Trilogy could be coming to the Nintendo Switch.
We know it's coming.
We don't know. Could be
we
coming.
just this year.
We just, yeah. I mean, they would be really smart in making it. Or redoing it, or whatever.
And you never played the Metroid Prime games?
No.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, man.
I can't wait. Can't wait.
To be you again. To be you again.
To be me again. I'm old. You don't want to be me. Alright, so this is generally the segment where I ignore all listener questions because we don't have any. So for upcoming RPGs, we have Broken Lines, which is a alternative World War II history tactics game. There was something weird with this one because I think initially it was supposed to come out earlier. I want to say like last month. And then for some reason it kind of got delayed or whatever. But here it is, Broken Lines. It's an alternative World War II history. And then that was that today or yesterday? That was yesterday. So that was April 23rd for Broken Lines. April 24th, which is today as of this recording, Trials of Mana releases. If you're Jonny, don't buy it. Everybody else, I recommend it. And then April 24th, again today. How do you say this?
Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 4 Road to Boruto or Boruto.
It's just too many words. That is April 24th, so it's an RPG fighting game, I guess. I don't know.
It's got the RPG tag.
It's got the RPG tag on the Nintendo eShop. April 29th, Dread Nautical. It's that Zen Studios game that I've been talking about. It's kind of what the H.P. Lovecraft type of story. It is a strategy. Tactical RPG. So, yeah, take a look at that. And then we have, April 30th, we have Fairy Nights. This is kind of an interesting type of game. I don't know if it's a game for me, but it looks like it was maybe a mobile type of game.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me. And they've kind of ported it over. So it's got those hobbits that we like to talk about, the chibi type of... I don't know if they're chibi or if they just have big heads in this game.
It's definitely. I wouldn't call it chibi. It's not. It's a Western take on doing chibi. That's what it looks like.
Okay, I'll accept that. I'm not sure how the game plays, to be honest. It looks like the overworld is kind of like it has you going on Mario World nodes, and then each node has you doing particular things. I don't know because I do.
It's got random battles.
I don't know because there's a kind of a. I'm just looking at screenshots here. It's got a puzzle type of.
Yeah, I'm looking at the video right now, and
it's got a puzzle type mini game. What else does it have there?
So you got a party. I see a party of this rogue and a cat, and you solve a puzzle in order to attack the enemy. This is and it's a slide, almost like a rotate bits in a puzzle to connect some lines together. You have some active tiny type stuff. When it's your turn, you do your turn to solve a puzzle, and if you solve the puzzle, you can attack, I guess. So it's kind of like, what's that treasure game? Those treasury, I forgot what they're called, but Puzzle Quest, I think.
Oh yeah, like Gem Quest, Puzzle Quest, Gems of War, I think does that. Yeah.
But there's no gems here. I mean, there is actually a gem in the puzzle, but it's not a bunch of gems. It's like weird paths they have to line up. This looks like garbage.
Then we have Book of Demons, which you have played on April 30th as well.
Played and beat.
Played and beat.
Played and beat.
You did show a little bit off to me beforehand. It is an interesting take on the isometric. I don't even know if I'd call it action RPG. I guess you could. Yeah, it's an interesting take on the hack and slash because it's almost like active time battle a little bit. It seemed like.
No, it's fully real time.
Fully real time. So you're clicking that button and you're attacking.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. So it is real time action combat.
Yeah. It's very much it is Diablo, but on rails. But
yes.
You control the rails.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like guided. It's weird. It's how it's presented. So instead of you being able to free roam, it's first off, the aesthetic is it looks like a pop-up book or pop-up book art. Mm-hmm. Everything looks like it's cut out of cardboard, and it's kind of like that Yoshi's Crafted World.
Yeah.
But they took that aesthetic of Yoshi's Crafted World and put it into and made a Diablo game. It's exactly that. And instead of getting gear as your loot drops, you're still getting gold, but instead of gear, you're getting cards.
Right.
And those cards get added to your inventory, and then your hand of cards is your loadout. And that hand you can piece together based on the cards that you have that you've collected, and you can insert however many cards that you feel is necessary to build out your hand, and you can increase the size of your hand, which therefore increases your character's power because now you're adding new abilities, new passives, new things that can make your character that much better. And there's very interesting point and click combat mechanics where you can actually like swat down ranged attacks that are coming at you by clicking on them, or in order some enemies are armored, so they won't take any damage unless you have to literally click on their armor in order to de-armor them, to break through, to bust their armor, to actually deal damage to their
I wonder how this is gonna, and we talked about this, how this is gonna be replicated on console. Like, is this gonna be a game that is only gonna be handheld only?
They would have to change. Yeah, they would have to change a lot just because. And I played and beat the game. The mechanics that they tie in so heavily with the mouse clicking and where you are clicking is very important. So that is they'd have to rethink that in a fairly dramatic way, which is why I am interested in how they pull it off, and I'm afraid that they might have pulled it off in a way of like cheating and watering down that experience, because it is exciting, and when you're in the middle of combat, you're surrounded by enemies, they're blocking your movement in one particular direction, there's like fireballs coming at you, they have to swat down and whatnot. Like, that stuff was fun. It was cool, right. Like clicking on all those different things all over the screen, and your character's not moving to them because your attacks are kind of like range. They have a range to them.
Sure.
So as long as you can click it, your character stays put where they are in their roller coaster lane, but their attack is sort of like reaching far out there to swat something down.
So yeah, this could be and may be a handheld only. It would make sense to be able to
handheld makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, to be able to touch and click those things. So yeah, I wonder how they're gonna replicate the pointer on that mouse. It's gonna be interesting.
If they pull it off well, I would definitely recommend the game.
Unless it's got to score an 80 though. It's got to score an 80.
It's good. The game's really good. It's fun. It's short.
Just so you know, it only scored a 78, Johnny. Okay.
What?
It only a 78. I would not buy this game. I'm looking at OpenCritic 78. I'm not buying it. I'm sorry. It's just a bad game.
Oh wow! It is 78.
It's a good game, right?
It is a good game.
That's great, Johnny. I love it. I love that you admitted a 78 is a good game. Trials of Man is a 77. I understand. Not as good as a 78.
Well, here's the thing. I can see the drawback to the game. The drawback's being how short it is.
But yeah, but it's doing interesting stuff. It's kind of got its appeal. But yeah, it looks really, really interesting. It definitely looks like a Diablo 2 when you look at it visually, but plays very different.
And there's another thing. It's weird about Book of Demons, and it is if you don't, I didn't fully understand it, and I think it might be some people might see it as a drawback. Book of Demons is supposed to be a collection of multiple books.
Okay.
And there's only one book. And each book is supposed to mimic some like game, some tried and true game, but like its own like take on it. For example, there's only one book in there, but when you open up into the main menu, you see a bunch of pedestals that could fit, I think it's 7 different books, but only one is actually available to you because only one of the games actually released.
Okay.
So Book of Demons is actually meant to be this bigger thing with 7 different games in it, but right now there's only one fully finished game, and it's not a long game. You can beat it in less than, or right around 10 hours, or probably less than 10 hours, and that's it. So I can kind of see that as being kind of a reason for the score not being as overly positive as I am with it.
Well, I mean, I hope length doesn't determine a score, because there are short games that are reviewed very well. I think Child of Light is a great example of games that are very short meaning 10, 12 hours long, but are I think very, very good.
Well, I don't think it's so much as being short as it's in your face on that first screen, the opening screen.
Just looks incomplete, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. Incomplete. You're missing content. And the game itself is actually, I think it's 25
on
Steam. So that's, I don't have, yeah, it's $25.
So it makes it feel like an episodic thing, and at $25 a pop is kind of a lot.
25 for a 10-hour game is, it's, I can see that being another reason why the score got potentially docked a little bit.
But like things like prices fluctuate, so I think when reviewing a game, I mean, yeah, it's okay to review with price in there as well, but you got to take into account that prices change, things like that, unless it's a Nintendo game, things like that fluctuate. So to put it into a review, I mean, yeah, it should be there, I guess, but it's kind of tough.
It is tough, but this game was in like early access for a bit, I think. Either way, the reviews for it on Steam, the Steam reviews, the user reviews, 89% recent, and overall 92%. So it's a solid game. It's fun. $25 is steep. So I actually redact my recommendation.
Don't redact it. If it's a good game, it's a good game. It doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter what people like Open Critic or whatever,
It is popcorn, though. It's like Diablo popcorn, right? People like eating their popcorn while watching their movie, right? It's a light snack. It's buttery. It's savory. It's slightly sweet, right? This is that. This is like the popcorn Diablo. And Diablo was already popcorn for
Diablo 3.
Oh, no, the original Diablo was meant to be a popcorn version of RPGs, of hardcore, of rogue games. Diablo was meant to be a popcorn version of that.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a popcorn version of a game that was already a popcorn version of something. So
it's the seed. No, it's the crumbs. I don't know. I have no idea.
It's good though. Kernels.
All right. Book of Demons, April 30th. All right, that's going to wrap up today's episode of the Switchrpg podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for the question segment that we didn't get to because I didn't ask for any. Remember, you can listen to the show each and every week at switchrpg.com, or you can subscribe on your favorite podcast app. If you listen on an app, please give us a rating and review. I want to climb up those charts. I'd like to make millions doing this, right, Johnny? Millions?
Sure.
Millions. All right. How about tens of dollars? fives of dollars, ones of dollars, anything. Anyway, what's that?
Let's go with the millions.
Million. All right, cool. We'll go with millions.
We could start a studio together, or we can help fund a studio and make some awesome content.
Yes, we could do that. We could do that. Tell people what to do. I'd love it. All right, and finally, you can head over to Switchrpg.com for all your Nintendo Switch RPG needs. Until next time, goodbye.